Welcome back to the Launchpad. Thanks for joining us today. We also are having a guest on the show today that we're super excited to have, who's been on the show before, but we're really, really excited to get into what he's up to today. Eugene K. Johnson is an entrepreneur and leadership coach. So Eugene actually has grown up in rough New York community and dreamed of great things. And as a successful student, he went on to college. It was there at the age of 18 where he started his first business. As a natural leader, Eugene quickly realized a business person's greatest asset is their mind and has spent over 10 years teaching others how to capitalize on their greatest assets and natural talents. Working with and coaching tens of thousands of aspiring professionals, Eugene has made an impact and a difference in their lives. Welcome to the show, Eugene.
Thank you for having me.
We're very excited for you to be here today. What we'd love to do is find out, what is Eugene K. Johnson's motivation?
Yeah, what motivates the motivator, as our Hill said?
I think the biggest key to motivation is living on purpose. A lot of people are looking for. You ever heard people tell you, "Oh, I'm burned out"? I don't know if I have the energy to continue to move forward, or maybe, work has burned them out. But I believe there's no such thing as burnout. Burnout only comes when you're operating outside of purpose. And so my whole focus and my whole thing, the thing that keeps me driven every single day is living on purpose, is doing the things that I know I've been called to do. And that's exciting. That's knowing that every step that you're making, every move that you're taking is leading you to your end goal or your desired destiny. That's the thing that motivates me every single day. That's the thing I wake up for. And I can't remember who said it. Somebody said this as well. But another one of my motivations is helping other people live out that purpose as well. So those are the things that motivate me, that get me out of the bed, that get me doing what I do, every single day.
So what is it that allows you the opportunity to connect with somebody and pull out their purpose? Because a lot of folks, if they are burned out, they're not realizing that they don't have a purpose, or they don't understand maybe it's an opportunity to find a purpose. So how do you get them to realize what is that they don't know that they don't know?
Here's the thing about purpose, because a lot of people have this question. Matter of fact, this question has been asked literally, probably, since the beginning of time. Everybody's trying to figure out, why am I here? What am I purpose to do? And the truth of the matter is, a lot of people ask the question, but nobody takes the time to figure it out. Because it's a simple, mathematical equation of figuring out your purpose. Sit down and ask yourself, what do I feel? What am I good at? What are the things that I would do if I didn't have to go to work? What were the things that I would do if everything was taken? If I lived in the utopia and I got a chance to live every single day with exactly what I wanted to do that day, what would that thing be? Those are the things that you have to lean to. What am I good at? What are my gifts? These are the things that help you pull out your purpose. So a lot of times people say, I don't know what my purpose is, but most people haven't spent any time sitting down and figuring out, what exactly can I do? Most people spend more time planning their vacation than they do planning their life. So I would say, take the time. Figure out exactly what it is that you feel like you've been called to do. That might take you hours. It might take you weeks. It might take you months. But take the time. And I think that's the biggest thing that most people don't do. So that's my first thing, is saying, all right, take the time. And then once you take the time to figure it out, and knowing that you're not going to get it all, you're not going to get the entire picture, but you'll get glimpses, little pieces of the puzzle. And then as you go through the process, that puzzle will start to get clearer and clearer. And as you start to, walk and operate in that direction, because it's not about achieving purpose. It's not about getting to the destiny itself, but it is about going through the process, because just the mere effort, even if you weren't at your purpose, but the mere effort in going in that direction allows you to feel like you're living on purpose. And that's really what's key to motivation for most people.
Oh, I'm excited about that idea.
Yeah, that's a really good point about having a purpose to get you out of the bed in the morning. I believe that a lot of our dreams are fulfilled simply because we've defined what our purpose is.
I really like the idea, too, that what you're speaking to is actually, in a way, going to school. Like, we have this muscle, or going to the gym. We have this muscle, which is purpose, and we've never really used it before. So we actually have to feed it. We have to work it out. We have to participate with it and grow it so that it can become something of value, and putting that effort towards it, just like with anything, getting your body fit, eating better, having a better mindset by doing self-help books. But all of those, what I really was taken by was the idea that, yes, we actually need to put the effort into it every day to create it. Is that what you're saying, Eugene?
Absolutely. And then it might not even be, the everyday creation of the purpose is not necessarily the fact that, hey, I am literally sitting down and planning out my purpose every single day, but it's really about the focus of, all right, let me take the time, let me take a step back and say, what am I really doing here? Like, most people are living their lives every single day doing something that they really don't want to do. And it's okay to do something that you don't want to do for a time if you've taken the time to figure out, what exactly do I want to do? What exactly do I feel like I've been called to do? What do I feel like would allow me to walk in the truest self, my truest self?
Yeah, how will how will that thing that we don't want to do get us to the thing that we do want to do?
And maybe not, it might not even be the thing that you don't want to do, because some people might say, I'm working a job right now, but I really don't want to work a job. Okay, well, if you don't want to work a job, that's fine, and the job might not be the thing that gets you to the thing that you want to do, but you're working a job to keep your life stable, to pay the bills, while you work on the side on the thing that you're passionate about. Maybe you're an artist. Maybe, you're a musician. Maybe you're a business person. What are you doing on the side? Well, it's not the things that you do from 9 to 5. It's the things that you do from 5 to 9 that will create your purpose for most people in most situations. And so that's really what the focus is, not that specific thing, but the thing that they do on the side that they can develop into the thing that they really want to do.
That's a really good point. I was doing real estate to make a living, Eugene. And although I enjoyed it for a time being, after the recession, I started to enjoy it a lot less. It became a lot more frustrating. Then I realized, well, this isn't really my passion. My passion was helping other people. Real estate was just a vehicle to do that. And so I just had to look at myself and go, okay, what do I really love? And it was something that I had buried since I was 16. I had forgotten all about it, that this is what I really wanted to be, and that was a writer. And then I said, okay, well, what does a writer do? Well, a writer writes. Well, that means I got to start writing. And transitioning from a full-time paying job to a non-paying job was a really difficult transition. It took me years to make that transition.
Well, the problem is most people try to make this transition overnight. And what happens is then they get into a place where they start walking in the thing that they were passionate about, but they turn the passion into a job. And because they don't like that the job aspect of the passion, then they end up getting burnt out as well. So you did the right thing, which is most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10, right? So taking the time to say, okay, what can I do this year that allow me to get closer to my 10-year goal or to my 5-year goal, and then dialing it back? And I think that's really what just taking the incremental steps. Everybody wants the quantum leap of success. They want to be at the top of the staircase, and they want to be at the bottom of the staircase, I apologize, and then they want to get to the top in one jump instead of taking it step by step, because that's every step by step that you take will allow you to build up more confidence to become a better winner. And you don't build a habit of winning by losing. And a lot of people try to jump from one place to the other, and it's so far away that they don't win in the process. They might have even started to progress, but that progression doesn't look like a win, because if they're saying they wanted to make $1 million in a year, but they're at 50,000, they went from 0 to 50,000 in their passion. They look at it like, oh man, that year I made only 50,000, but my goal was $1 million. They had this quantum leap jump that when they got to the 50,000, it's no longer an accomplishment, and that's not a good scenario. So you basically lost in your mind, and you can't build a habit of winning by losing. And that's what a lot of people miss out on, is not taking those steps.
Yeah, I definitely fall victim to that behavior on a regular basis,
Not looking back and seeing how much you accomplished, but looking ahead and seeing how much is left to be done.
Discounting how short I fell of my purposely lofty goals to keep me striving, because if you're accomplishing all your goals, you're not playing a big enough game. But if you're missing all your goals, you're obviously, missing the mark there as well. But what I found interesting is each of our individual motivations and what I assume probably the motivation for all people is really based out of what would be the motivation of the human condition, which is survival, connection, and creating. Because like we create stuff even if we're just making up meaning in our minds, we can't stop creating. And so like I feel like those three basic things are the motivation for all human behavior.
Survival is a really good one. I mean, that's what I was talking about when in 2008 when the recession hit. I mean, I had to survive. And that's when I realized I got to create something that's recession proof. And then I went, well, if I'm going to create something, I want to create something I love because I don't want to keep changing jobs. And then so here I was at 40 for the first time really looking at myself and going, what is it I love to do? And it's taken years, but it was like turning a big ship.
Well, and then isn't that like a part of the journey? So I love the idea that we get a chance to discover what it is we like and then make that effort to achieve getting there as well as getting there. So that quantum leap, it not only does a disservice, I think, in the fact that you go too far with not enough time, or you do those things that don't keep you in balance, but you also miss the opportunity of realizing what that true purpose is by cultivating it every day. And just assuming that you're going to achieve purpose or reach purpose or hit a mark and then your purpose is just done, I think is a bit of a false concept also.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that a lot of people miss out on, and I agree with you 100%, the biggest thing a lot of people miss out on, and you hear people say this all of the time, that people who got into the top, I remember I used to hear this on my journey, and I used to say, man, I don't want to hear that. When people say, the process, man, the process is so magical. The journey, getting into the destination is so great, but the process was way better going through that process of the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, right? And I used to say, man, I don't care about the process. I just want to get me there, please. I'm tired of being broke. Those were the things that were going through my mind. But as you start to achieve, you start to realize that those problems, those situations, those pitfalls, those trials, those obstacles, every one of those obstacles were setting you up and propelling you to your purpose. And a lot of times we look at those obstacles and we say, man, that thing is holding me back. But that thing is the very thing that you prayed for, is to hope that it would get you to the purpose that you're asking for. And a lot of times you don't even realize it until you're out of the situation, past the situation, and then you can look back. And I know a lot of people know this even right now in their lives, even if they haven't achieved high levels of success. There's some situations that you went through in your past that if you looked at it with the proper perspective, you can look back and say, that situation was necessary for me to be the chef Dina that I needed to be. And I think that's where most people are missing the boat, is because the situation they're going through currently, they had their eyes so fixated on the prize that they're not realizing that what you're in now is a development mode of getting to where you want to be.
You got a lot of energy, my friend. I wish, I want you giving me the speech for 2 hours every Sunday morning at this point. This is amazing. But we do need to take a quick break, and we'll come back and touch more into motivation with Eugene Johnson. All right, welcome back to the Launchpad. We are talking today with Eugene Johnson, entrepreneur and leadership coach. But before we get into that conversation again, we're going to cut it over to the quote of the week.
The quote of the week.
I sneaked it in there.
Sneaked it?
Yeah.
Snuck it.
He sneaked it in there, guys. All
He
right.
snuck it.
Sneaky.
So this week's quote of the week comes from Winston Churchill, and it is, the pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity, while the optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. And so for me, that really spoke to my own personal motivation. You would be surprised how incredibly hard it is to find a motivational quote that uses the word motivation. But so I ended up just choosing one that really spoke to what motivates me, and that's really, finding the miracle even when things aren't lining up in the world the way we want them to. Using breakdowns as opportunities for breakthroughs, and realizing that success and happiness is a matter of perspective and right action in the miracle of the moment, rather than in, pursuit of stuff or pursuit of, people or whatever. It's really that true human satisfaction and completion comes from internal progress and feeling like you're the best you can be. Yeah. So
I like that, and I like the idea of that quote. Would you like to read? Would you read it again for us really quick, please?
Absolutely.
Because I wanted to say something to that quote.
All right. So the pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity, while the optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty.
So as a chef, I think about making lemonade out of lemons. Russ, as a writer, and from your perspective, because we have a beautiful philosophical bent from Jimmy, what would you say is your little Winston Churchill quote?
Mine would probably be happiness is a byproduct of a life well lived.
There you go.
Yeah.
Eugene, what would you say?
Man, I don't know if I can say it in a quote, but I'm pretty long-winded.
Everything you say is a motivational quote, though.
Yeah. So and go for it, however long it is.
I love this quote because of the fact of I'm on this hype right now. This last month, I've been on this hype that I think that adversity has been like grossly underestimated. Where I think a lot of people don't realize adversity is probably the best thing that could possibly happen to you in order for you to have success. I worry about my own son and the fact that he's not going to go through the same type of adversity I went through, though I don't want him to. Is it going to make him soft? Is it not going to allow him to be able to get through the tough times? For me,
because you see how much character those experiences gave you.
So much, so many lessons in going through hardships, and it might not just be the things that I went through. It could be anything. It could be dealing with a difficult parent or a difficult spouse and the adversity that you have to go through there. I mean, whatever that adversity is, I think that adversity sets you up for success, which is all about mindset, which goes back to the quote about perspective. Because what that quote is basically saying is, what is your perspective? How do you see the situations that you go through? And that's really where the key to mindset starts, is the whole purpose of why I talk about make your mind an asset is about perspective. And if you can flip the proper perspective on your life and think in a specific way, then you can get to any result that you ever wanted to get to. You can create success on demand whenever you want, if you can think in the way that you should be thinking, and shift their perspective from the negative to the positive, and from the downcasted to the overjoyed. And I think that's what a lot of people need to do is have a shift in their perspective, and that's what Winston Churchill is talking about here.
Yeah, and I can't remember what the source of it is, but I remember it was like an old tribal thing where the whole tribe was hungry, and the chief of the tribe had an orange, right? And so was it, do you just open up the orange and feed the tribe, which would be, that instant gratification, which we all love. And so it's like, everybody wanted to eat the orange, all the tribe members, but the chief knew to open the orange, take out the seeds and plant them so that they could eat again and again and again, rather than feed that instant gratification of just putting it in their belly right now. Yeah. And I just really thought that was a brilliant example of perspective and how survival can cause people to really use up their resource, use up their stuff out of scarcity rather than, like you were saying, properly plan, like be aware of those 5 and 10 year goals, not just making sure that rent is paid this month. Because if you're not considering how rent's going to be paid for the rest of your life, you're going to keep needing to come up with rent every month. And that's,
Well, and also, too, isn't it the whole idea that there is yin and yang? So there's black and white, and you can't have night without day, and you can't have light without dark. And so there is always the two sides to the coin with all these shades of gray in between. So here we have the opportunity to talk about the journey, your purpose, taking care to enjoy and pay attention along the way, and use adversity as a tool to propel you farther, as opposed to one that keeps you down. And the whole thing just speaks to, if you don't have good, how do you know? If you don't have bad, how do you know what good is? Right? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
If you don't go through the test, how do you have the testimony? If you don't go through the rain, how do you have the rainbow? I mean, these are the things that the thought of the specific thing seems like it's not the right thing that should happen, but the actuality is that thing is the creation of the thing you actually really want to happen. And I think that that's huge. And going back to the previous point of, just making sure that, making sure that what you're doing on a day-to-day basis kind of aligns with that perspective. Because I honestly, I got that perspective from my wife when I had the mindset of scarcity. Even as things started to happen for me in my life, I didn't want to spend money. I didn't want to go places because I always thought, well, what if something happens? I had a tight grip on the finances and things of that nature, and my wife had a loose grip. She still has a loose grip, but I love her for it. But she had a loose grip on finances but she always operated in abundance, and abundance was always available to her. And for me, I operated in scarcity, and for some reason, even as success started to happen for me, it still seemed like it was scarce, because it would happen in pieces. And when I started to realize it's my perspective on this specific situation that's allowing me to hold tight on my finances, and like every time I have success, I'm like trying to make sure I don't spend too much, because who knows whether it's going to come in again. That is a mentality of doubt that was stopping me from actually receiving the abundance that was supposed to come into me. So I learned that perspective from my wife, to say, you know what, sometimes it's good to let go, because I don't know if you guys heard that quote that said, once riches start to come in such abundance that you start to wonder where it was through all those lean years, right? And that's really when you let go and you actually start to operate in abundance, success comes at you so much. I mean, I remember when I first started to see this principle happen in my life, like I was getting checks from places that I have even no clue where they were coming from. And I couldn't even believe that checks that were bigger than, sometimes, years worth of paychecks. And I'm like, I had checks in pockets that I didn't cash for months and didn't realize it. Like, I never would have been in that situation of abundance if I didn't start to let go and just allow abundance to happen for me in my life. And I think that just having that type of perspective of abundance and scarcity is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that you really need to tell us more about what you do to where you've got this point of affluence where you're losing checks. But before we get into that, we're actually going to switch it over to Samantha C. She's got a question for you.
Yeah. So, as a recent high school graduate and a soon-to-be college student, I've never truly experienced what motivation is, because right now I'm trying to find things that I'm interested in. So, how would you motivate someone who doesn't actually truly know what motivation is?
I would say get around somebody who has what you want and start to follow them, because they will motivate you. And even if it's not 100% of what you want, get around somebody who inspires you, or somebody who you look at their lives, or have you ever watched a movie, and watching the movie you say, man, that would be awesome if that was my life. Get around that person. Get around a person like that. And if you can't get around them physically, we live in a world of technology where you can get around them, digitally. And so get around that person. Hear their perspective. Hear, the things that they do on a daily basis. Try to understand who that person is. That will motivate you without you trying to be motivated. Sometimes, motivation will just happen if you put yourself in the proper environment to allow it to happen. And it happened for me when I was 18 and I just got into college. I just happened to fall into an environment that allowed for me to get motivation, though I wasn't even seeking it. But I was in the environment that inspired me, and I was around people who I saw that had the lifestyle that I wanted and did the things that I wanted and had the impact that I wanted. And I got around those people, and I had no choice but to be motivated every day, because every time I heard a word from them, every time I saw things that they were doing, it would inspire me. So that's what I would say find somebody who has what you want, or find a group of people, get around them, and you won't have a problem getting motivated, because they'll be living the life that you want to live.
Thank you. I mean, I am among a radio show right now, which is kind of motivational to me.
Yeah, you naturally took the right advice. You've already gotten around people because she's our intern here. So it's like even though we're not doing exactly what her career might be in the future, I could see how there's a lot of benefit in just being around people that are chasing their dreams, because that's what it's really about, is finding the dream and chasing it, right?
Absolutely.
And sometimes it's just a process of elimination, just figuring out what you don't want.
Hey, you ever been in a relationship?
And with that, we're going to take a quick break. Thanks for tuning into the Lunch Pad. We'll be back with more lunch right after this.
And welcome back to the Launch Pad, where we dance like no one's watching. Oh, my goodness.
Minus the fact that we have cameras.
Yeah. Dang it.
Russ, do not quit your day job.
Yeah, yes.
No, and folks, you can be able to check this out later online at surfinglunch.com. There'll be Russ dancing, there'll be me trying to dance, and there'll be Jimmy shaking his head out.
Yeah, so we're here with Eugene Johnson today, and we were just talking in the break, and we really wanted to go into something that, an example of real life application in your own business, where you've put some of these principles of motivation to work, and what do you have to speak on in the realm of that, of like actually creating a success in life rather than being in this conceptual realm of positivity and motivation?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say the biggest, there's so many examples that you can pull from as you go through the process. You're using them. You're using the mindsets constantly. I remember before I ever, was able to, my first, accomplishment of, quote unquote successes was, oh man, when if I can get to a multiple six-figure income, that would be just the world would be amazing. And when you're in a scenario where you only have enough money to buy 30 packets of top ramen to get you through 30 days of eating, that seems like a far stretch. But having the proper mindset and the proper perspective and seeing the opportunity instead of seeing the difficulty, I looked at the opportunity and I said, I can and I will and I must. And through that process of, shifting your thinking to say, okay, what do I need to do? And I usually even, talk about the principle of, taking 5 years and dropping it back and saying, what do I need to do this year to get to my 5-year goal? Or what do I need to do this month to get to my, 1 month goal? To get to my, this year goal? And what do I need to do this week and today? And so if you take that, even taking that principle, and I applied that to my life and I say, here's what I need to do in the next 10 years, or here's what I need to do in the next 1 year. And I laid out maybe, I think it was 10 or 12 goals. It was one of the first times that I actually achieved almost 80-90% of the goals that I set for myself for that year. When you go into New Year's resolutions, hoping that, you're going to achieve. And so I was able to do that, set that, that goal. I took a step back, figured out exactly what I needed to do on a day-to-day basis, was able to achieve all of those goals, was able to buy the car of my dreams, was able to earn a multiple six-figure income, was able to make more money in a week than I did in the previous year. So it's just taking the philosophy or the mindset and saying, okay, how can I, and apply it to what I was doing, which was I was an entrepreneur, I was a salesperson, I was a marketer, right? So these things, I just took this mindset and said, all right, what do I need to do to operate at a higher level? And a lot of the operation of a higher level is really just thinking on a higher level, which will get you to that actual goal. So, I could use so many examples of, starting my first business to starting this new business and what I had to do to get all of that, happening in the way that it needed to happen. So, I don't know if you wanted a specific example, but
how do you motivate your team? How about that question?
You ever been around me for 5 minutes?
Right. You show up.
The good thing about my team is that we've got people that I've been around with for years. They've been around me for years. Some people are new to me, but, at the end of the day, if you're excited about what you're doing, one of my good mentors used to say all of the time, if you light yourself on fire, people will travel for miles around to watch you burn. And that's really what it is. It's about being excited every single day. It's about, coming up and showing up ready. Your energy it's not something that you create. It's something that you become because you're operating in purpose. Like, it's not something that you have to fake or, you have to, like, if you probably wouldn't believe this right now, and you might see this from the video, but I'm sitting down. Like, this is a conversation I'm having with you sitting down. So the excitement that I have is not necessarily, it's not created based off of I'm on a radio show, so now I should have excitement. It's because I truly, within inside of me, I have a passion that cannot be quenched. Well,
you have that energy on your YouTube videos as well. And you have a bunch of videos. You have like up to 31 right now, the Make Your Mind an Asset video series. Can you tell us a little bit about that and give our...
Correct. So in that Make Your Mind an Asset video series, the biggest thing is really just to focus on helping people shift their perspective, shift their thinking so that they can create success on demand. I believe that once you understand exactly what it takes to create success, success is a science. It's not an art, right? Art is subject to opinion. Science is subject to formulas. And success is really a 1 + 1 = 2 type of scenario. And all you have to do is figure out the mental shift of what's the 1 + the 1. And that's really what I talk about on Make Your Mind an Asset, the course. It's giving you the mentalities to add the formula up to create the success whenever you want. Because once you know the formula, once you know 1 + 1 = 2, it will always be 2. It will never change. And that's really what success is about. And that's really what I talk about on Make Your Mind an Asset, how to think in that way.
So are you going to start putting out, books and tapes and really become a professional leadership trainer rather than just like producing the results yourself and training your people? And obviously this Make Your Mind an Asset is the start of that part of your career, or no?
Absolutely. What we talked about right now, I have a course coming out called Make Your Mind an Asset online course. That's going to be coming out in October. Then I have what we talked about earlier, which is purpose. I've got a series called 4 Ds to Your Destiny. That's going to be out where I talk about what exactly are the 4 things that you absolutely need to put in place to actually get to the destiny, to get to the purpose that you are desiring for. I got 10 mental thought processes of leadership, the leadership blueprint. That's coming out in October. I've got an ebook coming out in October. So I've got a lot of stuff, a lot of products, happening. Because a lot of the things is, I can do but so much on these videos once a week. But if I can give somebody something that they can go and take with them, where I actually put my full self into this product and spend hours. These products are hours and hours and hours of material that you can sit down and hear my perspective from start to finish. A YouTube video is literally sometimes 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the most. Yeah. But this is hours of content that I'm taking each subject and breaking it down to its lowest common denominator.
And didn't you at some point work with or mentor under John C. Maxwell?
I did. I worked under.
He is the face of leadership. I mean, for anybody that's purposely looking to learn about leadership, you're getting hit in the face with John C. Maxwell left and right. So that's an amazing personal relationship to have.
If there's anybody who understands leadership on a high level, it's John C. Maxwell. I mean, he is, the antithesis of what a leader looks like in operation. But I've been around a ton of different, there's a gentleman by the name of Darnell Self. You probably never heard of him, but he's an incredible leader. There's a gentleman by the name of Eric Worre, good friend of mine, incredible leaders. Paul J. Meyer, Bill Hybels. These guys are people who understand what it takes to move tens of thousands of people and get them to the destiny that they've been called for. So, I've gotten a chance to work and travel and meet and break bread with some of the most successful people. I've probably spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on, just educating myself and getting around these type of people.
Well, and doesn't that speak exactly to what you said to Samantha's question, which is get around people that motivate you, and you have an entire library full of opportunities that can reach people in any different direction they may find themselves. And we can't thank you enough for being on the show today. It's absolutely fantastic to have you here. We've got just a quick second. Could you give us your final thought?
My final thoughts is anything that you want to do is possible. All you have to do is believe it, because our mind is probably the strongest computer on the planet. And if you learn how to operate your mind like you know how to operate your iPhone, then I guarantee you can unlock some success in your life that will be, that will release everything that you ever wanted it to release.
That is phenomenal. Thank you for the advice. Eugene, it was a pleasure having you on the show. We'd love to have you back again in the future again, sometime soon.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
I've been working so